Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. Well, the Tempest Tyler got put back in the teapot, and then one of my black male subscribers showed up and then knocked that teapot to Kingdom Come. He probably can't use that for a title, it's too long. But sometimes I do highlight remarkable comments, and in the same way, I don't discriminate. If a black man makes a remarkable comment, I will highlight that as well. Aaron Davis, long time subscriber, and I have to just give him a shout out because well, number one, this is not the easiest channel for a black man to stay on for a long time. I've had men get real mad and flip out and talk about I'm leaving and unsubscribing and got blocked. I lost a lot of them this year. I forget what the exact incident was, but man, it's been kind of a rough road. But Aaron Davis has been with me a long time, and so he made a comment on our Tyler Perry video, which I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to actually do a have a discussion about this comment. Aaron Davis, 2258. And I love this opening. I'm going to say this without becoming enraged because I have a level of emotional intelligence. Right on, Aaron. Tyler Perry made a mockery of actually giving solid relationship advice. Now, I want to stop there for just a moment. And the reason I want to stop there for just a moment is because if you remember, I was more gentle the way I said it, but I'm just like, we're taking relationship advice from a man who gave us his idea of a woman. We know from the woman he portrayed what he thinks about us, and we also know from all the women that are in his movies, and all of them are doing things that are not ideal. We also know that he has a child and is not married, so he does not have any idea, though he claims to be a Christian, about God's way of doing sex, marriage, family, and actually in the order: marriage, sex, and family. So I was gentler about it and explained, and Eric just said he made a mockery of actually giving solid relationship advice. Quote, quiet as is kept, he's using this as a case study of black women for his new movies and TV shows. Mark my words. Okay, quote, as I was on my way home, I was thinking of something that we'll come back to about new TV shows and such. It is September 19th when you see this, for those who get it on the first day. Keep that in mind. Quote, not at one point did he say to black men, this is how you make it to my level, or at least a level where you can financially sustain yourself. And he did not say to black women, I'm going to give you all advice to ensure your family will be financially secure and you can marry a black man who can provide and be a protector. I'm tired of black celebrities and elite giving their uninformed relationship advice. Just keep on building plantations, put a pin there, plantations of followers that will follow and do everything you say. Like, that's really your business model? Shaking my head, SMH. Can't do it and won't do it. Right on, Aaron. Right on. There's a ton of wisdom in that. And like I said, I don't discriminate. When a black man brother comes with wisdom, we'll talk about it. I don't discriminate. I was thinking on the way home. Again, Aaron anticipated what I might have said next on this issue. It's September 19th. You know what that means? With it being September 19th, that means the holidays are over the hill. And that means anybody that owns a television channel or is a producer is going to be trying to figure out how they're going to put their holiday programming together. They pretty much have it finished by now because the holidays really begin with October 31st, Halloween. So you pretty much have your holiday stacked together. In fact, my computer is already putting up jack-o'-lanterns and in my search box and autumn leaves. It is September 19th. Autumn doesn't get here till Saturday. So apparently people that produce media are already thinking about that. I just happened to notice that. So if your main focus is black women, what you want to do is get their attention in some way. You want to do a trial balloon on what ideas you can sell them. The other thing about the holidays coming is it's cuffing season. I I find that whole concept so for a group of people that spent so many years in chains and coffles. That is such a regressive concept, but we'll take it for what it is for right now. And the reason I say we have to take it for what it is because look at what this man is lining up to do as a producer. Uh, Aaron said building plantations and having people follow you. That's exactly what's going on. Do y'all understand? I have to make up a word here. The ridiculosity. I know the word is ridiculousness, but we have to go to another level. The ridiculosity of a billionaire. Tyler Perry is about total assets 1.1, 1.2 right now. Do you understand the ridiculosity of a black man telling black women? But we talked about this already, that if a man can pay a light bill and take you out to dinner once or twice a month, from a billionaire's perspective. But something I hadn't thought about it because I'm not a black man was Aaron Davis's perspective of, do you know how insulting this is to black men? Now, there have been content creators that have come out, even since I've had this conversation, and said, no, according to statistics, black men are still making more money than black women. This is actually pound for pound correct. Because you have to look at, there are, and the reason these stats would look like this, there are more black male athletes, and that's going to push those numbers up. There are more black men that own businesses, and that's going to push those numbers up. However, if you remove the athletes, the entertainers, and then my father's generation of men, the men who have survived to see a good old age and actually have some stuff, they are bumping that number up somewhat. Against that number, you have the fact that a goodly number of black men struggle with employment simply because they are felons, a third. So if you look at data based on people actually working, that number, that gap between black men and women diminishes quite a bit. And if you take out all the athletes and entertainers and businessmen, that's quite a large number. And you take out the older men that have inherited property and so forth, the heir properties and the rest, that's where Tyler Perry gets that idea. Among working men and women, black women are very, very close. Not quite, but working men and women are very, very close to edging black men. But at this moment, to be fair, all groups of men are making more than all corresponding groups of women. Black women may flip that, though, in the next 5 to 7 years. But the problem of Tyler Perry, billionaire, is just this. If you cared about the issue, here's what you would do. Aaron Davis is correct. If Tyler Perry cared about the issue, he would make more resources available so that black men could be better providers. He is a billionaire. It's not too much to ask. There's been controversies about Tyler Perry not making room for other black writers to work with him and doing everything himself instead of opening the field so he can work with a team of writers. There have been a lot of criticisms about that, about the quality of his work and even about how he portrays black people and if that's good for the industry. There's a lot of conversation about that. So the critique is valid. This same critique goes toward a lot of black men who are very well to do. They look down on black men who are not doing as well as they are as much as anybody else. You actually, if you really pay attention in the manosphere, you actually could notice this as well. The late Mr. Kevin Samuels was as disrespectful to poor black men as he was the average person, because the idea was once you became a high value man, Dennis Sperling and Umar Johnson have said the same thing. They want to get in and eliminate the lower class black men. So you sit as a billionaire telling a black woman to accept a black man who makes less than her, 5 times less than her, by the way. Nobody mentioned that. Do you need a man that makes 5 times more? Well, that means he makes 5 times less. And if we're going to say that it's okay if he could just do just a little bit, that means that Tyler Perry doesn't think black men can do much. It's a very limiting position. Go back and look at his movies. Does he feature black men on anywhere near his level in his movies? In a flattering light at all? Does he show black women building capital, black men rather, building capital and assets for their families? He does not. But then again, he's someone who opted to, instead of having a actual family, has opted to go a very rich man's version of just getting a woman pregnant and having a child that he's not committed to that woman and that child. So you see the same broken patterning that you see in the very men that Tyler Perry looks down on. It's not about income. It's about character. He said that. But I hadn't thought about how insulting this is to the black men who are capable of more, which is everybody, actually. Um, I hadn't looked at it from the perspective of what does it feel like to hear that? Here's a black man who's made it up to a level that most black men aspire to. You're not handing you're not putting down a roadmap, to say nothing of a staircase. You're just saying, okay, all you're probably going to be capable of is just coming up 5 times short. You're only really going to be capable, it is an extreme example, of doing a light bill and taking a woman out twice a month. That is incredibly demeaning. So to hear Aaron Davis say it, Tyler Perry has insulted all of us. And why has he insulted all of us? For the same reason that plantation owners insult all of us. The goal is to make us believe that we are going to have to be dependent on and listen to him to get cues on how to live. The goal is to be ready to look at whatever he's coming out with next as the holidays and cuffing season begins, and to compensate ourselves for what does not work in his advice by sitting down to another go round of Medea's family holidays or whatever programming he has out there. Now, of course, y'all know I'm behind. I don't have cable. I don't really watch television. I don't keep up with popular culture usually. But I did feel the need to address this issue just because, as a Christian man, the foolery he was talking about had to be addressed in the same way that I don't watch Dear Future Wifey or Little Black Book, but the foolery, because they are Christian black men, quote unquote, it is actually very distressing. The more I think about Aaron Davis's comment, the more distressing this becomes. At another time, because it will take me weeks and months, we need to talk about the Divine Nine and the Boule. For those of you who know, you know. People who have made it their business to be gatekeepers between the masses of black people and actual wealth building opportunities, because only certain people are supposed to have those. People who have made it their business to get to a certain position and do and say things to block the way up. Just block it up for everybody else. The Boule is very specific. Some very, very powerful black people there. But they are a buffer because they get to have a little plantation. Now, I don't know if Tyler Perry is part of this, but his behavior is reminiscent of this pattern. People are allowed access to certain things on a condition that they help keep the rest of the black folks in their place. One of my commenters also made the remark that Tyler Perry flashed a sign just before he said the foolery that he said. And that would kind of fit the bill of this kind of secret society behavior. I'm just saying what I'm saying, y'all. I didn't see the signs, so I'm not sure. But Aaron Davis has a point. Aaron Davis has a point. And the point is that men who talk like this from that position are basically getting ready to feed their plantation. And what is his chattel of choice? Black women. But also, to the side, that is a massive insult to black men also. What I would like to see, Aaron Davis said about that, can't do it and won't do it. I hope that this is black men's view entirely, and that black men are going to come together and prove Tyler Perry wrong. That black men are not going to pick up from this, that if a billionaire is saying all we have to do, we can come in with 5 times less money than a woman has. By the way, okay, so let's do it with 5 times less money than a woman has. That's not 100,000 versus 65. That's 100,000 versus 20. That's not 200,000 versus 50,000. That's 200,000 versus 40. Now, when you start to get up around 300,000, 500,000, 600,000, 900,000, a million, okay, 20% of $1 million is still $200,000 a year. So we're still talking about, by the time you get up that high, you're talking about sums that can be worked. But even so, look at the vast disparity between what 200,000 does and $1 million does per year. There are ways to invest $1 million and make $200,000 per year interest. Believe it or not. Y'all gonna need to read Seizing the Bull Run for Financial Freedom to get some information about that. It comes out late October. I'll let y'all know the date. Shameless plug for my own book. But that's the gap. 20% interest is considered high, but we're talking about interest numbers for a millionaire. And by the way, Tyler is a billionaire. If he wanted to make things better for Black men and women, he could talk about the things that he does and he invests in. We know he's a massive creative, but he can talk about steps to becoming, to having the kind of skill that he has. What was his discovery process? And that was Aaron Davis's other point. These men are perfectly willing to hand out bad advice to you about this, that, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. But in terms of allowing you to take the steps to achieving the success that they have, crickets. Quiet. They ain't trying to do that because they don't think you're worthy. Tyler Perry doesn't think a Black woman deserves a man who is even at her approximate level. In terms of you can't have love and someone at your financial level. We don't think we can pull that together. And he also doesn't think Black men are as worthy as Black women. And that's really weird given that Tyler Perry is a Black man. Although, granted, he has spent so much of his career living on camera as a Black woman and sitting up in his head and being a Black woman. It's a very confusing situation. But I suppose that no, let me be kind about how I say this. I don't know what goes through the mind of a Black man who made up a woman to use as a chattel for his personal ends. That is what Medea is. That is what the image of his mother and grandmother made the parts that he thought would be helpful to make himself a rich man. I don't know what goes through the mind of a man who is a billionaire, but decides that he's going to still have a child and not do the work of a father and a husband, even though he has all the resources that Black men say that make it possible for them to do that. And again, he's in his mid-50s now, so he didn't just decide that in his 20s. That child is less than 10 years old. So, I can understand, Tony Gaskins was 22 when his child was born. And he said about getting his wife pregnant before they were married, he said, I did that because I wanted to see my image reproduced in the world. He did marry her and is now a millionaire. But he said that was what was really going on. That was more about my getting my wife pregnant was more about my ego than anything else. When the child got here, I realized I wanted to be the kind of father that my father was. I don't understand a man more than twice that age. I can't tell you what goes on in the mind of a man who moves like that. I can't tell you what goes on in the mind of a man who is a billionaire, period. Don't know any of those. My area of responsibility is one figure short of that. Don't know. I've known millionaires, but not billionaires. But what I do know, and Aaron Davis's comment points it out so well, that is not a move from a man who wants to see even his fellow men be as successful. That's not a move from a man who wants to see women have an easier time than his actual Medea and aunties did. That's the move of a channel maker because the holidays are coming and he's going to have programming. He's going to have new things to produce and he wants you to feel beat down enough to go watch that for the holidays. And if you should happen to get cuffed by someone who isn't right for you because of his advice, oh well, he might hear about that story and make another movie about it. And the cycle will continue. I agree with you, Aaron. I agree with your analysis. And ladies, again, this is also why slumming over teapots ain't gonna get it. Because you slumming over teapots with men who are just using everything they say to and about you to build their own personal empires, do you see what's being done? There is no reason for us to be willful chattel. Another reason we got to back up off these people. Now, Tyler Perry was never on my list of things to view. He has not been for a very long time. I've seen enough of his plays on video to know that there was no need for me to look at any more of this. I kind of got the gist of one, you get the gist of all. I respect the work that he's done in making himself $1 billion off of doing this, but that time is over. I would suggest that once you find out somebody ain't about nothing but feathering his own nest by saying inadvisable things to 18 million people, maybe even 33 million people, if you count that even though he didn't address black men, Aaron Davis has pointed out correctly that it's an insult, that you might want to move on from that too. I can't write Tyler Perry off because I've never really wrote him on, but just saying. All right, y'all. Have a good day now. I might, well, I gotta do bank runs and stuff today. I may have time to make a video, I may not. But as I said, Aaron Davis's comment was worth discussing because I think he brought to light some aspects that I had not considered. And I think we can benefit from discussing those aspects. All right, y'all have a good day now. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.